where I went to school. And yeah, same mom. And I got my BA in economics at Pepperdine. I was Bogey Fleming Scholars. As it was mentioned before, I was captain of the men's rugby team, and I want to talk to you, and not just to list things off, to show you how much you need to be involved, how much you need to be active, how much you need to do opportunities for yourself. Create your own level. From rugby, collarbone, three broken fingers, broken jaw, wired shut, torn ACL, MCL, 2 sprained ankles, and 6 concussions, but still alive, still kicking. College Republicans, I became president and got involved very, very early on, and we had 150 plus active members. Some of our folks there, you may know a few other folks, notable, some not notable, and we were such, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, if Pat would probably say, I mean, this was a YAF co-sponsored event. We had Attorney General John Ashcroft come for our 9/11 event. It was fantastic. We were able to do the presidential debates in front of the Reagan, at the Reagan Library. We had Mayor Giuliani and a few others. That's us here in front. Of course, at the ranch, I'm sure you guys have all seen it. That's actually Reagan's personal axe, but you're not supposed to touch that, actually. And we actually lit the cross at Pepperdine for the first year in 30 years. It was an Easter miracle when a colleague of mine, or some unknown individuals, broke in and rewired the electricity. And it lit on Easter Sunday for 3 days. And so anyway, we did a lot of good things at Pepperdine, but this is the biggest one we were so proud of. So YAF has, as you know, the Remembering 9/11, that was the Never Forget event each September 11th. Ours is actually the biggest in the nation. We started it, and it was helped, YAF actually helped us fund it with individual private donors. It's the largest in the world, one for every victim of 9/11, and it's covered all over the place. So that's our, my other buddy Ryan, who helped us start it, and Ryan Sawtell, a great guy, just a fantastic memorial that people, gather. It's Kelsey Grammer, Fraser, and a few others, Pink, the singer, and very unique opportunity to have some great folks out there. So I would strongly encourage you guys to be involved at the high school, at the college level with YAF, because Young America's Foundation does just incredible things. Now I want to just break it down for you, my career path, or lack thereof. So I like to say my entire life has been a startup. But let's just break it down real quick. I'm going to go through this really quickly. So brace yourself. These are all the jobs I had at Pepperdine. I'm going to go back actually just to have a quick look. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay. College jobs. And I finally got an actual job as an analyst for a hotel brokerage firm when I was still a full-time student. I managed a pretty large portfolio when I was 21. And, worked directly with the brokerage president, and knew that I just had to, I wanted to make money. I was motivated, just like many of you are, I'm sure. And I either, you have to do things, and I'm going to go through a list of the 10 steps for being a successful entrepreneur later. But you want to do things that only you do. You want people to remember you for doing what are called only practices. So, hey, that guy really wrote me a nice thank you note after I went and saw him. That girl, she was so kind to come by and see me. When you see a professor, you see a potential employer. You want people to remember you by things that that you only do. So, I'm still a full-time student. I started my consulting firm while I was still a student. The first division was political consulting. I got retained by a U.S. congressional candidate, Senate, City Council, hired 25 of my classmates to work for me, and built a strong reputation, and that kind of carried over. And, I had some internships with a few folks, and worked pretty hard because I love what the Republican Party stood for, I love what the conservative movement stood for, and I think YAF for opening my eyes. I think my parents for opening my eyes to the principles that we enjoy. Respecting those principles, and why America was founded, why we're so great. a few others, but you know, that was all while I was working, while I was in school. And my early career just starts taking off, and I'm going to just go through this. But you know, Ken Starr, Mike Brady, you guys know, John Bolton, Andrew Breitbart, made friends with a lot of good people, and you know, I think YAF for many of those opportunities, but I was here actually right there. Joe Wilson, Daryl Isa, Buck, Meg, Tim Valenti, great guy, Romney. I like Romney. I happen to like. And I started doing some TV hits. I got into PJ, did some Fox News stuff, and I was still a senior in high school, and senior in college. So I started doing some. So I started reading some great books, and you want to start asking yourself, what do I want to do? What do I want to do in life? And you want to stay focused, and you want to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now, or what I'm about to do, getting me closer to my next objective? And I got an offer. I'm like, what? Patron, they wanted me to model for them. I said, no, I'm not going to go down that route. But I have a new life goal. I want to run for office. That was very short-lived. But what do you need to be successful? What do you need to be successful? Well, you got to have an education, right? Everybody here is going to go to college, right?
Yes.
Good. You got to know how to do business. You got to know how the market works. You got to know how to do deals. You got to know how to talk to the opposite sex, and eventually find a spouse. These are all measures of success, and you have to know that spouse is going to be supportive of what you do in a particular career. And you'll of course have to have financial stability, and then you'll be a successful politician. That's what I'm thinking, right? Well, so let's start building that political acumen. Let's start building that business acumen. So I worked for an Inc. 500 company, a good startup, taught me everything I know, and then went on to start a couple of companies, and I'll show you just quickly. Easy Snap. This is the product we invented. Or, sorry, you know what? Yeah. You guys can take a look, you can look it up, but it's called Easy Snap, and we signed a pretty significant deal. That was the first machine with my afro hair. Those were our guys. We raised a little over $1 million to launch operations and signed about a $4.5 million deal to get that done. Did business with all kinds of folks, and then I started getting involved with an international company called TransPerfect. Did a lot of business development with them, and then the State Department asked me to represent them for the Global Entrepreneurship Program. After learning these successes, and so huge honor. We went to Greece that first year in 2014. Taught all the Greek entrepreneurs how to start their companies, how to scale up, how to expand. It was really just a wonderful experience to be able to share what we think is kind of common knowledge of Americans. In countries like Greece, when you have this kind of socialist economy, this spending that just is as I'm sure you have all learned about tax policy, you've all learned about general economic theory. Socialism, it's great, but eventually you run out of other people's money. That's part of that, right? So Greece was hurting. We went out there trying to help those entrepreneurs. It was a beautiful trip, and I just want to kind of skip through this. I don't want to get to Q&A after not too long, but actually, great guy, billionaire George Marcus was there to help those folks in Greece, and the ambassador to Greece as well. This is just a couple of years out of college, so I did a deal in Germany after that, did a deal in Ukraine, some oil and gas merger. We were actually institutional in passing a Ukraine Freedom Support Act with Russia. You guys may have remembered Russia invaded Ukraine, so we wanted to help our allies, and so that was a pretty nice deal. And so we went to Ukraine. It was pretty crazy. I mean, there are AK-47s everywhere. These guys are, these young guys are fighting for their country, and we actually did some work with some of these folks. But these trips, when you see a young guy like that, 22 years old. There were guys that were younger than that, 17, 18 years old, fighting to, fighting for their freedom, from an oppressive dictator like Putin, who is, is not the best guy in the world, but, it kind of humbles you, and it gives you a greater purpose, it gives you a greater calling. And so I want to get a little bit more into that. And then last year I was invited by the White House to speak in Kenya. I moderated a panel with the CEO of Airbnb. You guys may know Airbnb, Brian Chesky, and some senior executives from Uber. Does everybody know Uber? Anybody tried Uber yet? Great company. So that was the panel. Embassy was awesome. It was fantastic. Young Kenyan entrepreneurs. Actually, I've got a funny story for you guys. So when we first got off the plane in Kenya, I kid you not. So we all know the jokes, behind, President Obama. Everybody's heard the jokes, right? Well, we get off. We spoke on the same podium, but we all know the jokes. Well, we get off the plane, and the first billboard that we see says, it's a picture of Obama, and it's the Kenyan government that put the billboard up, and it says, "Welcome home, son." So we all step off the plane, and we're like, "You gotta be kidding me!" Not that it confirmed anything, not that it didn't, but we just thought it was very humorous. But like I said, tremendous respect for the office. Obviously, there's some disagreements as a policy, but the Kenyan president invited us for dinner as well. Did a deal where I went to Katowice, Poland. They asked me to represent, the undersecretary asked me to represent entrepreneurs from the United States. And so we were out in Poland. We were able to do some great thing. That's the Attorney General of Poland, the U.S. Ambassador to Poland, and I'm going to just skip through these because it's a high school conference actually. So, but we'll go through that. But I want to just wrap up real quick with the 10 steps. Now that you kind of have an idea of kind of how active you want to be. You want to be extremely active. You want to be active. You want to be doing. Because one thing that you'll find out is that you guys ever have a situation where you're not feeling too good. You're kind of maybe in a limbo. You're in a slump in life. How do you get out of that slump? How do you change? You have to do something. You have to get up and do something about it, right? You can't just sit there. So the way the universe works is, the more you put out, the more you do for others, the more it's going to come back to you. And I want to real quickly go through just these very quick 10 rules to think big as people get started. Number one, you want to be prepared for rejection. So in life, whether it's college, whether it's your first job, you're going to have a lot of people slamming doors in your face. And so you want to be prepared for that rejection in advance. You want to develop, as I mentioned earlier, only practices. So how do people remember just you by? What do you do that sets you apart? What makes you unique? You want to be thorough. You want to be focused. You want to get your momentum going. It's going to take a lot of energy to get things done, but you need to know that that momentum will carry you through. Focus on the solution, not the problem. You'll find that you can do amazing things when you focus on the solution. Know everything you can know about what you're doing. So if you want to be a physicist, if you want to be a political scientist, if you want to be a professor, make sure you get yourself in a position where you know everything you know. Become an expert. Number 7 is be motivated. So you guys probably have heard of, the harder I work, the luckier I get. That holds true. That holds very true. You want to, number 8, anybody here basketball? You guys are California, right? So you guys are Steph Curry, Kobe fans? Maybe? Kobe? You see Kobe? Kobe? How about Steph Curry? All right. Who's nobody else? All right. Well, first of all, okay. That's good. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. But what you'll find is every major athlete does what's called a visualization practice before a major game. And they visualize themselves making the shots. They visualize themselves, dropping 60 points in the final game of their career, like Kobe did. They do visualization drills. And so visualize yourself as victorious, whatever that task is, whatever that goal is, whatever that mission is that you have. Visualize yourself as victorious, and you'll find that it's it's remarkable the success you have. Practice 10x, and so 10x is a concept that author named Grant Cardone came out with. You have to understand that it's going to take 10 times as much effort as you think it's going to take. If you want to, let's say, apply, you're applying for college, and you think that you did a great job on your first couple of essays. You better go over that 10 times. You better go over it with your friends. You better go over it with parents, with English professors. Get a summer job and pay a consultant if you have to. It's going to take 10 times as much effort to be successful than you think it is, and that rule kind of holds true. And the last one is never quit. So so my father's an immigrant from Mexico, and I'm a first-generation immigrant. And first-generation American, first my family to go to school, and when I grew up in Pacoima, we were robbed 3 times growing up. So we had been burglarized 3 times. One of the times we were still in the home. So it wasn't a very nice neighborhood, but I knew that the harder you work, the more opportunities you're going to find. And so you can remember this one rule, this last one, number 10. Never quit. Never quit. The only time that you are a failure is if you give up. And if anybody watches TED Talks, anybody? Look up a talk about grit. The number one predictor of success is grit. The ability to persevere, the ability to do, if you're knocking on doors and you're trying to sell something, you have 99 doors slammed in your face, you need to be just as enthusiastic and just as happy as you were in doing it for. Because successful people do all the things that unsuccessful people don't want to do. That's a good rule. Successful people do all the things unsuccessful people don't want to do. And a lot of times it's feeling. I don't feel like doing my homework. I don't feel like cramming on this paper. I don't feel like cramming on this test. But the results are that you're victorious. So, there's so much I want to talk about. I just got back from this conference. We're talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about, virtual reality, augmented reality. We're talking about putting a man on Mars. We're talking about, just all of the incredible things. And so I'm actually still a little bit, kind of perplexed myself as to what we can do in this life. But I want to open it up to you. I know you guys are some of the best and brightest, and I want to open it up to Q&A, but I want to say thank you guys for being here. You guys are awesome, and come on and bring it forward. Any questions you have about life? I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, but I'm here to be a resource for you guys.
From Moorpark High School.
Great, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay.
Anyways, I was just wondering, who or what do you think was the most influential in you, and how you never gave up, and especially throughout college managed all of what you did?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You guys know who Larry Elder is? So he's a conservative talk show host. He does a lot of talks, I think, as well. The significance of having both parents in the household, and how important that is, of having a vital, good, strong parents that can kind of pass those values on to you. My parents didn't have a lot. But one thing they taught us is that, you make smart decisions, you work hard, keep your nose clean, don't get in trouble, and with a little bit of luck, you'll be successful. So I have to say, probably my father has been, and my mother, the most influential. But in terms of continuing to, to kind of keep going on, you have to dig deep, and you have to ask yourself, is where I am now where I want to be in 5 years, in 10 years? Do I want to stay comfortable? What am I going to do for others around me? What am I going to do to change the world? Am I going to live a selfish life? What am I doing today that's going to have an impact on others? Is it political activism? Because we need good, solid political activists. Is it strong financial managers? Guys that can make money, make the United States a superpower in the world. So you have to ask yourself, what is your purpose? Dig deep and find your purpose first, and then know that the reason we're here is not to just live for ourselves, it's to do for others. I mean, that's why we're here. We want to make the world a better place. And what are you doing to do that? That's a good question to ask yourself now. So I would say, my parents, my father, and keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And it's not the government that had the biggest influence on my life. I can tell you that. It stays in the family. But then you have to know that you have to know what your convictions are first. And once you find that first success, build on that momentum, and it's all downhill from there. Yeah. And a lot of reading, by the way. Do a lot of reading. They actually. So this is a good point. I want to take another question, but everybody talks about like wage disparity. Like the income gap. All that. Okay. So what they don't tell you, the average CEO makes 300 times the average secretary, right? What they don't tell you is that the average CEO reads something like 67 books a year, and the average secretary or whoever blue collar worker reads maybe a half of a book. So think about that. Think about why that is. You want to be interested in continuous learning, not just to have your degree, not just to have a diploma, not just to graduate, but think about how you can continue to educate yourselves, because we have a responsibility as Americans to do for others. We have a responsibility to fix our country's problems. We have a responsibility to fix our values, as I like to say. The Global Entrepreneurship Program is one of those. One of those ways that we can kind of strengthen our ties with our allies without, robbing taxpayers of dollars to, send overseas. But continue to keep yourself educated, keep yourself informed, keep yourself engaged. That's probably a good thing to think about as well. Keep reading. Next question. Sorry. Anything at all? Life. Yeah.
Hi, Jordan Forche from Del Mar High School. And you said earlier that you were coming from a conference where they were talking about the future, basically, space exploration. So what advice do you have for us to get ahead in the workplace or in the economy regarding the future?
That's a good question. So to get ahead, right, you have to start with, like I said, your purpose. Find your objective first. And one book I really strongly recommend reading is a book called Never Eat Alone. So you'll find that in life you're going to meet all kinds of friends, and this is a good way to get ahead. You want to be sure that you're adding value to your friends and that they're adding value to you. You don't want to be around people who are dragging you down, who are negative, who are not as motivated, who don't have the same values as you. You're just going to waste your time. To get ahead, you want to find yourself a nice robust network like this one right here. My first YAF conference in 2006, I'm still friends with them 10 years later. One of them became a professor at USC, and I speak sometimes in his class. So build your network. That's the most fun. Know as much as you can, read as much as you can about what it is you want to do. Establish your objective. Build your network. Because it's extremely valuable to have the ability to call somebody and have them take your phone call when you say, hey, I have a favor, or hey, can you help me out with this? So getting ahead, thinking about the future, when you're talking about space, and you're talking about whatever it is your plan be. Who do you want to work for? Elon Musk? You want to work for Richard Branson with Virgin Galactic? You want to work for NASA? Who do you want to work for? These conferences are great opportunities to meet people who can put you directly in touch with them for an internship. And if anybody's interested in an internship at NASA, by the way, let me know afterward. We can get you the right contact for that. So, meet the right people. Do something that sets you apart, and be nice. I think Ben Shapiro says something. He says just you'd be surprised how far you can get if you just work hard and you be nice. So that's a good way. That's a good way to get ahead, I'd say.
Thank you.
Yeah.
David Stilling, Masters Academy of Vero Beach. First of all, you were involved in a whole bunch of stuff in college and stuff. So first off, what kind of student were you like? What kind of grades did you get? And how difficult did you find it to balance all those things like school and sports and YAF and your own business while you were in college?
What was the first part of the
What
question.
kind of student, I mean, what kind of grades?
What kind of
did you
student?
get?
Oh, yeah. So everybody knows the old adage that C's get degrees, right? C's got me my degree. And in retrospect, I will say this: I wish I would have studied harder. I wish I would have devoted more time. I was an economics major, so it wasn't easy. You know, I could have done something simple like political science, or or something real, psychology or something like that. But I knew that President Reagan was an economics major. He earned his economics degree, and I look at other folks that earn their economics degree and why that's so valuable. So I wish I would have been a little bit more serious. But I'll say the way that you balance it is again. I mean, are you comfortable just sitting home? Are you comfortable, doing video games? Are you comfortable just playing beer pong all the time? Are you comfortable, all these things that I read about that people do? But just know that every minute of every day you have is valuable. Something to take with you is if you can visualize dots on a wall, and let's say even the stars on that flag there, the best flag in the world, by the way. 50 stars on that flag. So next year I'm turning 30. I feel like a man, but I still feel like 21. But if I were to live to be 80, I'm only going to have 50 more summers in my life. What am I going to do with each of those summers? You'll only have 50 more, 60 more springs. You'll have 50 more Junes in life. What are you going to do with each of those months? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because you get fewer and fewer as you go on. How are you going to spend your time? You want to spend your time watching the Kardashians? You want to, not that that's bad, but I'm kind of a fan. But they're all Republicans, by the way. Or do you want to, do you want to leave a legacy? Think about it. This is a time right now. It's such a crucial time in your guys' lives to figure out what you want to do. Who you want to be around. What kind of a person you want to be. I had the pleasure of working with Arnold Schwarzenegger as an intern when I was in college, and he did the talk about who do you want to be. If you haven't seen this video yet, well, you should definitely watch it on YouTube. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger. Who do you want to be? And you have to remember that it's not what you want to be; it's who you want to be and what kind of impact you're going to have. So in college, it starts with what kind of time are you spending? What are you doing with your time? Do as much as you can. Be involved in as many clubs as you can. Say yes to as many opportunities as you can. If I didn't say yes to YAF, if I didn't say yes to Pat Coyle inviting me to the YAF conference, the American Foundation conference, there's no way I would have learned how to network with people. I would have learned how to smile and shake people's hands, or built the courage to walk up to somebody like John Ashcroft or Governor Romney. You have to build that courage to be able to approach people. So say yes to as many people as you can, and do as much as you can. So I think that does that answer your question? Yeah. I know there was a couple other hands. Sorry. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Parker White, Carmel High School, and
Carmel by the sea?
yeah.
It's a great city, man. Great little town.
So I want to know about mentors. You were talking about having a network. I want to know how many mentors did you have? How helpful were they in your life and getting you where you are?
That's a great question. So this is a good way of thinking about it. So think of yourself, you have to change the way you think, right? So you have to change the way you look at life. Think of yourself not as a person, but think of yourself like a corporation. So a corporation has a board of advisors and a board of directors. So I have an advisor or a mentor for a variety of categories. I'll have my general business advisor, right? I'll have my spiritual advisor, my pastor. I'll have my marketing advisor, my PR person, somebody who's like, you can't learn everything. You can't be an expert at everything. But you can have experts advising you on everything. Think of yourself like the President of the United States. You've got a cabinet, right? So, you got your PR expert. You've got your family expert. Someone who can advise you on, one day you're going to get married. how do you know, hey, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with girls? Like, how do I, like, this is so new to me, that kind of thing. Not that I ever had that problem, but, I'm kidding, but think about this board of advisors, and what you want to do with them is reach out. So it could be a professor, it could be a teacher, it could be a neighbor, maybe one of your dad's friends, or your mom's friends, it could be an uncle or aunt. But think about people that you severely respect, people that are, and when you aim for a mentor, aim big, aim high. So it's not. So I'll give you let me give you a quick story about when I started my first company out of college, ALG. So the packaging could be used by Nestle and all these other Fortune 500s. I knew that it could be used by them, so I wanted to sell it to them. I was like 24, I think, at the time, and instead of going into the packaging department at Nestle, I walked into Nestle without an appointment, tried to figure out who's the CEO, walked right in the CEO's office, told the secretary that I was his 215. She believed me. And I gave him a 5-minute pitch. And, it's a fun story, but I think I've told you here before, but it's a fun story. I walked right in, gave him a 5-minute pitch. It wasn't until 5 minutes in he looked at it and said, hey, wait, where's your visitor's pass? And I said, I didn't have a visitor's pass. He's like, well, you can't do that. You can't come in here like that. And they threw me out. Before they threw me out, I asked them what I needed to make an appointment. So I called the secretary. I anchored the thought, called the secretary, said, hey, I just met with Brad Alford, the CEO. I want to talk to him about this product. She says, no, we all go back and forth. She says, oh, I'm going to send you to the senior vice president of procurement. Super high level person, right? I'm like, oh God, okay, fine. So I remember like it was yesterday, Shannon Gabby, senior vice president, I call her, leave a voicemail, and I say, hey, Brad Alford's office sent me, She calls right back, because what are you going to do when your boss refers somebody to you? Call me right back. I sent her everything. She's like, this is fantastic. I love the product. Sent her the email, sent her samples. She sent that email out to every division of Nestle in all across the United States, and said, hey, if you guys are interested in the really cool packaging technology, please talk to Chris Garcia. And I took that and was able to use that high level type of thinking to raise money, to get people to invest in. I was 24 years old, but I wasn't fearful. And so you have to be confident in yourself, knowing you're going to bring so much to the table that this mentor is going to want to believe in you. So build up your board of advisors, build up those advisors, those mentors, and find a way for them to think big. Think big. But that's what I would do. I know that's what I want. Yeah.
Ian McDonald from Concordia High School. So obviously you had a couple of jobs when you were in college.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering, how did you narrow your focus, and at what turning point did you know what you're gonna do later on?
Man, I gotta tell you, that won't happen, and it's a very rare phenomenon that you know what you want to do. The best way, how people say you have to do what you're passionate about. Everybody heard that before? Anybody know what that means? Because I didn't know what that meant. And I didn't know what I was passionate about. You also heard this word vocation. Like, what's your vocation? Like, what's your calling? I didn't know what that word meant. But the only way you can find out what you're passionate about, and you'll find every top leader in the world, every top thinker in the world, every top technologist, startup founder, Fortune 500 CEO, they'll tell you that you have to do first before you know what you're passionate about. You have to try it first, and then learn to be passionate about what you do. And you try multiple things. You try a lot of things. So I'll tell you, like, one of the first little micro businesses I started at Pepperdine was, I was a fitness trainer. I was a personal trainer. I started a little fitness company, and I played rugby, as I may have told you. And the going rate for personal trainers in Malibu, think about this, it's crazy, $120 an hour for a personal trainer. And I'm like, this is crazy, so I'm gonna disrupt this. So I came in, I said, hey, I'll charge you $60 an hour, and I'll train you in your home, or I'll train you this. Well, eventually, people are like, yeah, of course I'm gonna train with this college guy who plays rugby, he's fun and stuff, for half the price, of course. I knew what I was doing. Well, eventually I scaled that out. I couldn't, my schedule was full. And so there were so many people that wanted to hire me though, that I said, well, how am I gonna do this? I can't duplicate myself. And then I had a brilliant idea. How about my rugby teammates? They're young, they're fit, they're all meatheads, they're all in the gym all the time, right? And so I said, okay, perfect. So I go to the clients and I say, hey, how would you like to work out with a hot, young, tough guy, same price, and they'll come to your home. And I say, hey, Pepperdine rugby team, hey buddy, how would you like to train a super well-connected, Malibu, dad or whoever, or a really hot Malibu mom for $40 an hour? And they're like, $40 an hour? Who would take a job now for $40 an hour, especially doing that, right? So they're jumping off their seats like, yeah. So I had about like 7 or 8 guys that were actually doing that. And then I kept the $20 as remember, you have to think about financial literacy, right? So you take $20 on the top for your facilitation fee, and it became scalable. So when you start thinking about ways that you can innovate, think about ways that you can, but I found very soon that that wasn't really what I was passionate about. I wanted to do more. But it starts with being the best at what you're doing. No matter what you're doing, anything worth doing is worth doing well. Otherwise, it's a waste of your time. But try to. You won't know what you're passionate about until you try other things. There was another one. Sorry. Yeah.
Hi,
Great question. Yeah. Hey,
from Lancaster High School.
Hey,
First
man.
one, you're a stud muffin man, of course.
Yeah, that's a little rough guy. Yeah.
I was wondering, since you're a young business entrepreneur, how the regulatory burden from the federal government has affected you, and what you do.
Okay. I'm going to give you you probably know the answer to this already. So, obviously, fewer restrictions, better business, more GDP growth. Let's think about anybody used Uber, Lyft. They're trying to ban them in Austin, Texas, because they're not fingerprinting their drivers. But they've innovated, and remember the taxis that were, all the taxi cab industries that were trying to shut them down, all the different, airports, because they were so entrenched with the government. Uber disrupted, Lyft disrupted, but the government was, can you imagine not using Uber, not using Lyft? And having to take a taxi. Anybody ever taken a taxi? Like, have you taken an Uber or Lyft? It's like night and day. And you actually know who the person is. That's an example of disruptive technology, but imagine if the government had suppressed Uber or Lyft, or Airbnb like they're trying to do now. Entrepreneurs, it's not the government that's going to change the world, it's the private sector, it's the entrepreneurs, it's you guys, you girls, that are going to change the world. And so it's up to us to elect and to make sure that we support elected officials that understand and recognize that and live those burdens. But I will say this, as an entrepreneur and anybody, by the way, all of you are entrepreneurs. There's entrepreneurship. Even if you don't start your own company, you work for a firm, you work for a company. Garcia YAF has had some people who tried just like new ideas. They're what we call intrapreneurs from within an organization. And you come up with these great ideas and you make the company better. So as you develop that mindset with that foundation I just gave you, you can't let anything get in your way. So even though the government might be, burdensome, you've got to find a way around it. You just have to. Otherwise you fail. So I'm a strong advocate for pro-business policy. I'm a big believer that we need to lower taxes on corporations. I think we need to have a fair or a flat tax of some kind. I think that we need to have more of a reliance on what we call the trust economy now. So, when you give your Uber driver or somebody else a Lyft driver like 5 stars, that means they're good, right? Well, if they fall below I think 4, then they get kicked out. So trust is now a currency. So rather than having to rely on reputation and or rely on background checks and fingerprints and all that stuff, which I still believe in the background checks, you rely on trust as a currency, and you don't need that regulation. We'll work it out. You'll work it out well. So remove government restrictions, lower corporate taxes, encourage growth in the private sector. That's what I think about government regulation.
Hi, Michael Hunt, Santa Clarita.
Cool.
The first step in your 10 rules to think like a startup is being prepared for rejection. Can you kind of elaborate on the mental process and the things you think about when you're preparing for a venture and that rejection you're attempting to defend?
So, there are some really good, it's a great question, because this is one of the hardest things to do. That mental toughness is so rare. Having the that's why the stat is 80 or so % of businesses fail in the first 3 years, because human beings by nature, we're comfortable creatures. Like, we don't want to go that extra length. I mean, you know that like, just that, that human feeling you have to just like, oh God, I tried, that's it. And that's partially failure on our education system. You get awards for trying and all that crap these days. When I was at UU, and that was like not that long ago, we actually had to win to get an award. We had to be the champion, be the winner. But we're taught, from a young age that just participating is worthwhile. So you have to train yourself. It starts with the mindset, and that mindset is that number one, do as much research as you can about your objective, whatever it is. If you're applying for a job, applying for a university, you're going to go meet somebody. Learn as much as you can about them and set yourself aside. Set yourself apart from everybody else. Be the leader of the pack group. Set yourself aside. And know that the natural, and there are a lot of good sales books on this too, the natural inclination of anybody who's asked for something of theirs. So if I were to ask you for, hey man, can I borrow, or can you just give me like $100? Your natural inclination, or hey, will you buy this product from me? Your natural inclination as a human being is to say no. So always expect no. Expect no. But know that there's on average, like, in sales, for example, you have to touch the person, and I mean like phone call, email, you have to ping them to have contact with that person on average like 11 or 12 times to make the sale. And that's a new customer. But you have to understand that that work that you put in to get that customer or to build that relationship, that first impression and acquiring that customer is more valuable than anything else, because they become your repeat customers. And the lifetime value of that customer is just exponential. So when I think about what my mindset is, it's, okay, let me do as much research as I can. I know they're going to say no the first time, and I know that I have to do, these 2 words are going to be, if you remember 2 words out of today, it's these: be relevant. Nobody cares about how much you know until they know about how much you care, right? What can you do for me? That's a human being, that's just human nature. So be relevant and find a way that you can add value to them. Find a way you can add value, create value to that person or that organization. So that's about it. Do your research, work as hard as you can to learn about the opportunity, learn about the person, and then be relevant. Question? I know there are a ton of other areas I want to go into. I saw a few other hands, but
okay, so that's going to be the final question.
great. Awesome. Thank you guys so much.